Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Andy Nguyen, and today I'm going to take this little baggie of goodies. Trust me, it's just keyboard stabilizers. We're going to do a tutorial on how to lube stabilizers today. Stay tuned. Just quickly explain what stabilizers are. This is my keyboard right here, and on the longer key right here, this spacebar. If you were to not have stabilizers, it would just teeter-totter. It would do like... So with a stabilizer, it holds it in place, but an unlubed and untuned stabilizer kind of sounds scratchy and rattly. What you're doing is you're lubricating the wire and the housing so that the up and down action is smooth. If you do it properly, it sounds way better than a stock stabilizer. Alright, now we got the top-down view. The box for the Zuggear stabs that I recommend, this is from Amazon. Zuggear transparent screw-in stabilizers, they're just a rebrand of Durock. Durock actually commented in the Amazon page as well, saying that these are Durock. And Durocks are equivalent to Everglides, made in the same factory. And they're cheaper than Zeals. So just buy Durock, buy from Amazon. The link is in my kit.co down in the description box below. You open up, you'll get 10 of the stems. Stems look like this. You'll get 4 of these 2U wires. You get a 6.25U and a 7U. I recommend buying from Amazon rather than Prime KB because they have both of these wires. If you buy 6.25U and you end up needing 7U and you're kind of stuck and you have to buy a new set anyway, that's going to cost way more than just buying a set that has both. It's a little bit cheaper from Prime KB for the 1 wire, but it's because you're getting 1 wire. So my lube of choice today is the Krytox 205G0, and this is one from Novelkeys. There's a 5ml container. They used to sell G00 only, but now they're selling G0. It's a slightly different makeup than the one from SwitchMod, but I find it's the same. I find it's very similar. It's a little bit thinner, maybe slightly less thick, but so to start, I always start with the housings. You can hold it like this, get your brush, get your lube. It's gonna be a pretty thin layer inside the housing. Just an even layer in there. I like to do 2 at a time so I can just finish that one stabilizer. Looks a little light to me, so this is how it looks. These next 2 clips illustrate what to do with old style cherry stabilizers. The stems in these molds, they have these little legs that you need to clip off with a flush cutter. You can do it with nail clippers and scissors too, but a flush cutter will work better. Just cut off the uneven part for every single stem for your stabilizers and you're good to go. Same deal, light, just like I do my switches. Just get an even coat on there. It's much easier because it's just a flat surface. And the Durock and Everglide stabs, the new molds do not have any legs, so you don't need to clip anything. And here's the tricky part. So if you look closely, there's a little notch here. And if you look closely at the stem, this side has 2 holes, that side has 2 holes, this side only has 1. The side with 2 holes needs to line up with the opening. So 2 holes, opening. And then you slide it in there. They'll go in both ways, but if you do it wrong, your stab will stick at the bottom. And then when you press it down when it's on the board, it will just stay there. And you have to pull it up. And regarding the notch should point away from the opening. So whatever it takes for you to remember, just remember that there is one orientation, and it's just, there's only one correct orientation for the stem. Same thing, the notch has to point away from the opening. So I'll turn that around. There you go, 2. So now we brush the wire. There's some people suggest that you just dunk it in the lube. So you just take the end and you dunk it in there, but I find that it's pretty wasteful on lube. So what I do is, this time when I pull lube out of the jar, I'll go a little bit heavier, so I can coat the wire. You want a thicker layer. As long as it's even, that's all you need. Maybe make sure you get the right angle. But this is how it looks. Make sure you go across the right angle a little bit because that's where it interacts with the housing. Same kind of principle as before. Start with less and then work up to more. Because you can always add more, but removing lube is a little annoying. That's how it looks. Got the corner. So now when we stick it into the housing, there's a little plastic tab on the bottom. It goes above that, but in the bottom. Once you enter it there, there's a little plastic tab where you snap it in there. And it should be able to move up with the stem. Now I work on the other side, same thing right above the plastic tab at the bottom. It's still at the bottom, and then push in, you get a snap. And now you have a finished stabilizer. When you move one, both stems should move up with the wire. And I'll show you how to work with the smaller one as well. A moderate amount of lube. Just kind of get the sides covered. Grab my stems and do the same thing. Once again, the notch is facing away from the opening. There we go. And when working with the smaller wire, you could grab it with your prong tool that helps you apply the lube, or you just use your hands. But you'll end up getting messy if you use your hands because you have to cover past the right angle. And do make sure that you wash your hands properly after. Use soap and wash it a few times. Krytox is not good for ingestion, so you gotta be careful about where it gets. So that's why I have the napkin to the side to clean big messes, and I try to stay clean overall. There's no right amount of swipes of the brush. I just try to get an even. I just try to get a good amount on there. Same thing with the wire. Get it above the plastic tab, into the stem, and snap it down. Above the plastic tab. Now it's in there. And I do find that when I'm working with the 2U stab, I end up wiping off a little bit of the lube around the angle. So you just take your brush, just add a little bit more there. Just make sure that rotation is as smooth as possible. And there you have it. I have a 2U stab lubed, I have a 7U stab lubed. You just end up repeating the process for the other few stabs. So I have 1, 2, 3 more wires. You'll have an extra wire at the end, so if you end up needing to switch, you can just take out that wire, relube a new wire, and there you go. So the process of lubing these stabilizers is much faster than lubing switches. So don't worry about spending 2, 3, 4 hours doing it. It should only take you like 10 to 20 minutes. It'll take me a little bit longer because I'm explaining. But it's a pretty easy process. It's more forgiving. Start with less, add more later on. If you find that your stabs are still rattly, you can always kind of like brush more lube into the wire, just like I did earlier. And if it still sounds scratchy, if you have scratchy stabs, it is what it is, but you can try to add a little bit more lube onto the stems or something after you pull it out. Well, that's it for the tutorial. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully it was informative. Please give me a like if you like this kind of content. Please subscribe if you want to see more tech and keyboard videos, and have a nice day.